Okay, I just got back from a night out of being driven around and just taking a few photos around town here in Saigon, otherwise known as Ho Chi Minh City. So I just loaded this memory card into the computer. I'm on a 2015 MacBook Pro, and you can see the files here that I've taken. Um, these are the JPEGs I'm kind of sifting through, but I'm gonna go through one file here for this video. Open it up, the raw file in Adobe Camera Raw 9.7, and here I'm just going to kind of tweak it to better suit, I guess, my vision of it. So I'm not really, as I mentioned in other videos, I'm not really seeking to try to get this to represent exactly what I saw. What I want to do is make it look like how I want it seen in my head. So the exposure is, in the ballpark of where I want it. It's a long exposure. Unfortunately, there was just not any traffic. I mean, you see a couple motorbike light streaks here from the long exposure, but that was it. It would have been great if we had more traffic going on this road, and also if the light wasn't so bright here, maybe we can do something about that. But I'm going to bring the highlights down, and then I don't know about shadows. I might just not mess around with that too much. It doesn't seem to be adding anything for me. The blacks and the whites, I'm holding down the Alt key here to see where the whites start to come in and where the blacks start to come in. So the more I move it to the right, the more white gets exposed, and vice versa with the black. I mean, basically you don't want, I don't know, some people have a rule of stopping once the white or the black starts to creep in. Just use your own eye and just kind of play around with it and see what looks good to your eye. See, if I press the P button, you can already see it even applied the lens correction here with the distortion of the wide angle lens. But you can see it's already looking better. It's a little more pop to it. The contrast is better. Now if I play with the clarity slider, it's gonna make it pop even more. Almost like gives it a little glowy type, like a sci-fi type look. Also, I usually like to set my white balance to fluorescent. Not fluorescent. Is it fluorescent? Tungsten, that's what I meant. And this brings the color temperature way down, but I like that because it almost gives a very cold sci-fi type look to my cityscapes that I like to take pictures of. Might be a little bit too blue. See what happens if I add some magenta to this. Looks a little cooler. So we're getting a little bit closer to how I like it. If I go to the tone curve panel and I use, you have the highlights, which are the brightest whites, the shadows, which are the darkest of darks, and you have these, two grade, mid-grade type levels of tone, lights and the darks. So if I use the lights, this should make the buildings pop out a little bit more, and it does. And I can further tone down the highlights here. Very nice. Look at that. Before, after. And see what happens if I mess with the darks. It makes the sky a little bit too bright. I don't know if I want that. Let's see, I'm going to go into the adjustment brush panel, and I'm going to knock down the exposure on this side a little bit. I really don't want that to be very bright. I kind of want just the buildings in the background, excuse me, and the road leading up to it kind of highlighted. By the way, I'm not using a tablet for any of this yet. I'm just kind of using my trackpad on my MacBook. So essentially what I have done with the adjustment brush is I've highlighted the areas where I want the underexposure applied, and I can use a slider right here and I can further bring it down. Now if I wanted to just focus on this, I already hit this button here, the new, because I want a new layer of adjustment here, and I just hit that area. See if I mess around with the highlights, it doesn't do too much there. And looks pretty good. In fact, if I do a new adjustment, I could actually brighten up the road here just a bit, just to make it a little more consistent. Right there. It's almost too much right there. What if I bring up the shadows? Alright, not too bad. Just for fun, I'm just going to see what happens if I add a little more clarity to the clouds. So I'm kind of brushing in the area where I want to add clarity, and then if it's not enough, I can just drag the slider here and it brings it out even more. Not too bad. Maybe I want the saturation down a little bit. And there we go. And let's see where we're at here. Before looks a little dull, and after. Looks pretty cool. I'm going to go back to the adjustment brush. I might play around a little bit with this building here, or the buildings on the side. See if I can make those pop a little bit. Add some clarity. Just so they don't look too dark. See, there's a lot of bleed into the background there. I want to try to maybe get rid of that. Although it kind of adds to the glow, so I'm not too concerned about it. Add just a little bit more clarity here and see if that does anything. A little bit of a glow. The highlights did look a little bright, so I'm bringing the highlights down again. And that looks good. Looks good. And my eye is still a little bit drawn to here, and it's not so much the value, the lightness or the darkness, it's more of the saturation of the yellow from the light. So I wonder if I go to the adjustment brush and then I'm going to select that area and then I'm going to desaturate a little bit. There we go. See, it's less distracting right there. I don't mind these points of light being the saturated yellow that they are, but it's the color of light that they cast on these trees and the foliage. Alright, looks pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit of, let's see, maybe I'll do a very slight vignette that will darken the area around the buildings a little bit. The sky might be just a touch bright. So if I do underexposure, then have the effect be on the outside here, selected. And I can create the shape of my ellipse, and I can modify it here just a little bit. Just like that. And if I go back to the adjustment brush, I can actually bring back the exposure of just the road. There we go. Lost a little bit of the clarity in the clouds, but clouds are really on my focus, so I don't care anymore. And looks pretty good. I'm going to open the image. This will open automatically in Photoshop. I'm going to put a little bit of a crop. It's a little dark heavy on this side. We don't need to see that much of the sky. That should be good. I really want to see that part. Yeah, I kind of do. I do want to see the road. And excuse me, I wonder what else I could do with this. I mean, I could play around with this forever, but as an artist, you gotta know when to call it a day. Oh, excuse me. I need to call it a day or a night, as I'm hacking my lungs out. My lungs. So thank you for watching.